Hi, Michael. This is Gina. I'm coming to you from Washington, D.C. And I think you might be the only classmate of ours that mentioned ethics in a research study. And so this is related to our study about the fish. And you say in your post here that the instructors were given, um, or the student was given instructions to take good care of the fish. And for you, this serves as the ethical component that requires research participants to have no harm done to be them. So I just found that fascinating. I think that's a great idea to bring out the fact that, whatever research we do, whether it's, for a research class or for the real deal research, we should always maintain all the basic ethical principles. And so both the researcher and the research subject, the ethical principles need to apply to both of them. So the researcher needs to make sure that he gives informed consent, and that all of the decisions that he's making throughout his entire process, the methods that he uses, the sample that he picks, even the interpretation of his outcomes, should all maintain the ethical principles, and that also the research subject will have no harm done to him. So I found this cool little article. It's not very long, it's pretty easy to read. It's from Angelica Orb, written in the year 2000 from Columbia University, and it's called aptly Ethics in Qualitative Research. And she outlines in pretty good detail the 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 basic principles that I'm sure you've taken in other courses of ethics, of autonomy, which means having respect for people, and beneficence, meaning don't do, not only don't do what's, or don't do harm, but also do what's good. Do make sure that you're doing something beneficial for the person. And then the last one is justice. And justice means you have equal share, that you can, like when you think of your inclusion criteria, that you're being fair and that you're not including somebody on purpose. So that, for instance, she gives an example in this article about women who were older women and victims of violence, and they thought, nah, they can't include those people because they can't take it. So they just didn't do them. And maybe they were the ones that needed their voice heard the most. And so, that would violate the principle of, of justice. So I think you brought out another interesting aspect in your post, and that was the researcher participant relationship. And so another, I mean, then that's all ethics also, that when you do qualitative research, the researcher is, he gets to interpret all the subjective results that he gets, not only the results, but he gets to do the questions. And sometimes just the way he asks questions, or just his presence, or something about the researcher might affect how a participant might answer a question. And so these are things we just have to be aware of. And so, and anyway, what if he gets it wrong? What if he gets all this great information, but he interprets it wrong because of his relationship with the participant, or just his personal biases? And so also another thing we need to be aware of is sensitive issues. Um, she also brought out this. I know we don't do this, but she brought out that some researchers actually use deception. Um, they either neglected to tell participants that they were the subject of a research study, or they used some pretty wrong methodology. Like they were studying homosexuals in a big city, and they kind of went undercover, but didn't tell the subjects that what they were doing and why they were doing it. So we definitely don't want to get involved in stuff like that. Um, so we should, always maintain this, weigh the potential benefits versus the outcomes. If you're in a study and you decide, oh, you're making the subject, um, you're doing some harm to the subject. You have to know when to hold them, when to fold them, when to walk away, when to run. So you should know that there comes a point where you could potentially stop an interview. But anyway, I thought that was pretty fascinating that you brought out ethics as it applies to qualitative research. And I thank you for bringing out this very important point. And I'll see you in cyberspace.